My name is Joanne Barnard and I will be your host for this session. So guys, today what we're going to be discussing is the allocation of customer and supplier receipts in Sage Accounting, which is our online version. So if you had to log in, you'll see that you have your different dashboards, and then from those dashboards, sorry, can everyone hear me okay? I did do a sound check before and everyone said yes. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. So basically, when it comes to allocations, this is after you've already processed. So you've created your tax invoices and everything, and there are multiple ways that you can process a receipt. You can either do it through the customer receipt or through the supplier payments. And if we had to do that, so this deals with allocation, and for example, we add a receipt here, you will see that here you need to select your bank account. So what this does is essentially it adds those transactions into that bank account that you have selected. And that will be there in order for you to hopefully review. I was pretty sure that I'd processed some. Sorry guys, I just want to make sure. Oh, helps if you choose the bank. I don't know, I always tend to do that, sorry. And if we go into review transactions, as I was going, please remember to choose your bank. I do this step so often, and that's always what I forget to do. So you choose your bank, and the review transactions are where you're going to go to see that receipt or payment that you processed from the customer or supplier menu. Likewise, you can also process a new transaction here. So, for example, we can change the account to a customer. Now, normally a customer does give you an invoice number, so you can use that as your description. Who's the payee, who's paying me? So I'm saying BB because it's for Ben Benson. And then I can give my reference. So again, for example, I can just go my invoice number or the order number or March, whatever makes sense to you, so you know what it's for. And then how much did I receive? Now the rec stands for reconciled, and then we will see the menu on the right-hand side. So here, this gives me details. So when I go to details, this is where I can do discount amounts, or I can say what the payment method is. I can also create a rule, which is when importing bank statements, these will be my mapping rules. So I can go whenever I see, for example, BB, it needs to go to Ben Benson, and it is for whatever it's for. So for example, I can go payments. Then here, this is our split transactions. So this is if I need to split them between multiple things. Normally this will be, for example, if you've paid your lights and your water, but you want to split it to lights and water, you can do that. Attachments, exactly that. I want to add an attachment as proof of this. And then we have our allocation. So in case I was too quick, that is this little icon that shows the two going off. Now an allocation is where you take the amount and you allocate it to the invoice that is available. So here specifically, we can see that we are going to have 580 that is not going to be allocated. So what's going to happen is this payment is going to be split. It will have exactly the same reference and description, but once I've allocated from the screen and we can see it's allocated, that value has been split into two values. And I can then save the changes. And then from here, we're going to specifically go and create a tax invoice and then process another receipt. So if we had to create another invoice for Ben Benson, we know we've got unallocated funds, but again, that's going to require an allocation. So let me just quickly do an item. Okay. And we're processing for more than the credit amount the customer has. So we save that invoice, and from here we can go to transactions and allocate receipts, or alternatively, on the invoices themselves, you can see that they say unpaid. We can go to actions and we can create receipts and pay those values. So there is that option as well to go and actually create your receipts from the tax invoice screen. But in this case, we need to look at our allocation. So we're going to go to transactions and we're going to go to allocate receipts. From here, you need to select your customer or the supplier, and I can go show outstanding only, which means only the invoices that have an outstanding value are going to come up, not all of my invoices. If I had to deselect that option and say refresh, you'll see that even the fully allocated invoice is coming up. Now here I can see the 920, and we can see that this is part of exactly the same receipt, and there is no allocation yet. To allocate, you click on the receipt, you pull it across, and you wait until it says one selected row, and you can drop it in. Now the 580 has been allocated, and we can see there's still 455 left over. So with regards to creating the receipt, yes. So guys, here we can see the allocation. I'm just going to finish this part and we just go save. And that is basically us allocating. Can you go back into your allocation and change those around? Absolutely, you can do this. And I've got a very good question and I wanted to see if anyone would know. Here we can still see the outstanding. If we want to see everything, we can go refresh. And I do want to point out, I'm telling it to show me all invoices. You can go, I want to see invoices between or a specific invoice number to allocate to, but I've selected all invoices. I can also come and remove the allocation. So if, for example, I allocated to the incorrect document, I can then make that receipt one again. So here we can see it's just one receipt, and I can allocate accordingly. So here, now my invoice one owes 455, whereas my other invoice is fully paid for the 1035. So we can always change them around and put them back to having the receipt. So here we see that, and then we can pay them again. Just make sure that it doesn't show the red like that. Please make sure that it shows the green tick, and then you've allocated and we can save. Now guys, the question that I had is that if you go into the transactions, and there's a reason I didn't actually create the receipts. I did want to see if anyone would pick that up. On the actions, we saw it said unpaid. Had I gone in and created a receipt, even if it was exactly the same value, it would have, in fact, created that again in your cash book, which would have created duplicate transactions. So you need to choose where you are going to make your receipts. If you create a transaction in your cash book, but you have not allocated it, on the tax invoice screen, it will in fact show as unallocated, unpaid. So if we look at this for Tuli Tulip, we can see that she has not been paid. And if I had to go to my banking and I had to create that transaction. So again, I'm just going to go customer. We're going to select for example, and here we're going to put our amounts. And I can just save the changes. I haven't allocated this against any invoice at all. If I now have to go back to my customer transactions, you will see that this is still unpaid. If I have to come in and go create receipt, I can create this receipt and we can see that it's creating the receipt amount. Select my bank. And if I now had to process, it is going to allocate to that invoice. However, if I now go into allocate receipts, we can see that we now have multiple receipts showing. So what are these receipts for? Where did these receipts come from? This also seems to, I'm pretty sure that I put 450, maybe I put 4,500. But irrespective, here we can see the receipts. If I go refresh, here we can see the 460 and it is already allocated. So where did these other receipts come from? These are duplications of this receipt. We would then need to go to our banking and in our banking, you would need to either look at your new transaction. So here we can see that obviously was a mistake and we can remove that by selecting the delete option. So that will then remove it completely. If we go to reviewed transactions, here's where I can also see that, hang on, I've got a duplicate. So obviously I processed this receipt twice, or I had already processed this previously. And again, we can remove the option. Now, if we see the icon in orange, that means that this has already been allocated. So remove the one that has not been allocated, and that will alleviate the problem. But yes, it will create multiples. You are absolutely correct. Thank you for spotting that. FYI, I saw you were in here, so I thought you might. Guys, we have a business partner or in the actual session. They're very, very good at what they do. And I would have explained this anyway if no one got it, but thank you for picking that up and asking the question. So guys, with regards to the receipts, your receipts work exactly the same way. Here we can see that it's going to tell you if it's overdue, which means, hey, you haven't paid us, we really need that money, or if it's unpaid. And likewise, from here, you can come in, you can create a return, which was actually not what I was trying to do. Sorry about that. You can do it directly from the screen. You can go and create that allocation again, which is basically everything in one. That is what you're doing. You also don't need to remember the value for that specific item. It'll tell you the invoices. It shows you what invoices are outstanding so that you can actually put in the value. But let's say, for example, that the customer had paid me as follows. Here, I would then tick the options. It will pay them accordingly. And if there is any money left over, then that will go into TechSpot. So I specifically overpaid them and there'll be about 800 left over. If, however, let's say they only paid 2,000, I would tick my options and here we will see what is due, what was paid. So we can see that there is going to be a value left over between the two invoices. And basically, I can process a new, process and print, whatever it is. If we then look, we can see that those transactions have in fact been, or we have receipts, and you can then go into your allocate payments again. You can go into your supplier. We can say both, and we can have a look. So here, for example, we can see that this is the payment that exists, and that is why as well the amount owing. I specifically paid 2,000. There should have only been 200, but it had already taken this payment into consideration. Now, if I pay both, we can see that there's still 266 outstanding, and both of these receipts are now showing accordingly. Again, then we can save, and that will save it for the specific supplier. Now, guys, a couple of tips and tricks are that if you are processing and you go into, you want to allocate a receipt and you don't see the document, search for the document or deselect outstanding only and select all invoices. Make sure that you can see that invoice. It could be that it's already fully matched, but make sure in the list that you're seeing them. So for example, if I was looking for INV 0007, I don't see it here. I would then want to go and look at my customer tax invoices, make sure it's not sitting on another customer. So here I can see all of the transactions that I've processed. If I'm not seeing anything, or if it is to the correct customer, but it's not on the allocation screen, please get hold of us because we need to run an allocation fix. Something's gone wrong in the back end. It's not that you've done something wrong. It happens in rare occasions, and we can then allocate that ourselves. So yeah. So that is a tip and a trick, just so that you can find what's happening. Please double check it's not on a different customer or supplier. But if it is not, and it's not showing in the allocation list, so it will show on the tax invoice list, but not on the allocation list, you've made sure it's not for a different customer or supplier, please get hold of us. Then guys, I've got another question. So if I import my bank statement, then I must not do the receipt. Yes, if you are going to import your bank statement, you will then work, you won't work in customer receipts, you're going to work in allocate receipts. And either you're going to manually do it from here, or when you do your banking, on the actual banking itself, you will then use the allocate here. So you'll go into the allocate, you'll allocate to your invoices, and you will save so that the allocation is done via our banking tab. That's what that icon means. So we've got our, there's our more information. This is where you can do, as I said, discounts. Here's where you can also look at the allocation. So you can see, we can change the allocation from here as well. So we can look unpaid invoices, paid invoices, what do I want to select? So you can change that on that detail. So that's just a little arrow that points down. And as I said, this is if you are splitting the payments. And here you can see this payment has already been allocated. Splitting this will result in the payment being unallocated. Are you sure? So if you allocate it and then you want to split it, it's going to become a problem. Then we've got our attachments. And you've got your allocation. If you're on new transactions, that's where you'll have the extra option of creating your mapping. So mappings are really useful when importing, but yes, then I would advise that you work on the banking tab and then you use the allocate accordingly, instead of trying to, oh, yay, client sent this, let me allocate this. Otherwise, you are going to create, as I demonstrated, duplicates. Now, yes, in your banking, you can also search. So if, for example, you need to search everything for 1,000, you can put in that 1,000 search and it will bring up everything for 1,000. Hopefully you can see the duplicate, and that way you can also quickly remove it. Instead of having to, if you have, thousands of transactions, go, okay, did I do this, on the 9th and then I did it again on the 15th? You can just search for the value. Hopefully it's more unique than 1,000. And basically what will happen is it'll, as you saw, create a small little list for you, and you can then, if you do have duplications, just remove them accordingly. Guys, does anyone have any questions around this? This is a fairly quick webinar. A lot of the ones that I'm doing are. So I do try to keep them to about 30 minutes. So does anyone have any questions around this or any questions around something else? I would really appreciate that. If this made sense, I hope that you got something out of it. And please remember, and I have had some people request specific sessions. Those will not be this month, but they will be next month. So there are specific topics that I will be doing that people have requested. And I should have those topics up next week for you so that you can start booking. But if there are any questions, please use the question icon like always and just type your question through to me and I'll go through it. Specifically around the webinar, if you have any questions on something else within the Sage Accounting program, you are also welcome to ask me. I will do my best to assist you. If I do not know the answer, I will get the answer for you. There just might be a slight delay while I type to my colleagues just to go, look, I've been asked an awesome question, need to double check, or I'm unsure of the answer, and I will need to wait for their response. So guys, please type that through to me. Otherwise, messages. So we are going to be doing duplicate transactions around draft invoices. It's something that we've seen is happening, and it specifically happens on draft invoices. This will also cover recurring invoices and how to set up those recurring invoices, the different options that you have, and what options you can use around duplicate transactions around the draft invoices. Those of you that also do run pastel accounting, we are having a webinar on Thursday. And on Thursday, it is going to be explaining the chatbot and how it works. So guys, I'm going to take you through that chatbot. I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks. Some people love going through it. Some people just want to get through to chat. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to explain what the chatbot is, and I'm also going to explain how you can utilize it to the best of your ability and also send us information on what you want to see in that bot. So that is happening on Thursday. Please remember that we do have the community hub. I have no idea what I was spelling there. Sorry about that. So guys, we have our community hub. In our community hub, you'll go to Sage Accounting. And guys, often if you do come here, you can also then please accept the cookies and go to announcements. And this is where you will see some of our different options, including, hey, this is what we're talking about currently. And that's where you can go to sign up for some of these webinars. It will tell you secure your spot by clicking here. Remember, these webinars are free. You don't need to pay for them. So there are little bits of information we can give you that people have phoned in or requested from us that we would like to share with the community as a whole. I will create this as a video that will go up on YouTube probably by the end of the week. Most of our videos are on the YouTube channel, and you are welcome to go and watch those. So please remember the community hub. Then guys, it goes, can I send the links, please? Can you advise what links you're looking for? Or is this the link to sign up? Sorry, I'm just checking. If it's a link to sign up, this is for Sage Accounting, for Sage 50. Again, it's in the Community Hub, Sage 50 Cloud Pastel. And again, you can come through and you can check. Guys, if we have not put the latest one up, you can go into this one, for example, free webinar, and you can register by clicking here. The link for the webinars does not change. I just add topics, and when I add the topics, more dates will become available. So you will need to check the dates. You will then click the drop down and you will select the date that you want to attend. Normally, there are only going to be 2, max 4 dates here, because I try to update this every month and I don't want to overwhelm you with dates on dates on dates. So past webinars will not show here, but you select which topic you're interested in. If it's all of them, you will have to register for all of them one by one. But if you look at this and you go, not for me, but I definitely want to know the one on the 25th of July, that's totally okay. Then you just register for that one. But as you can see, the link does not change. So you're also welcome to add this to your favorites. You can just go straight in then, if that also works for you. Then guys, the newsletter will also be going out shortly, hopefully next week. And yeah, if you guys want to know where our YouTube channel is or what you need to search to watch the videos, you can go to youtube.com and then you're going to type in Sage Customer. Either YouTube's down or my fiber is slow. Come on. So Sage Customer Support and Training. It is the logo on the black background. I don't want that to play. Damn it, it's going to take me into it. Sorry, guys. Generally, it normally plays and irritates me, so I try to stop it from playing. Here's where you can find out about Sage University. You can then see it's got a for me, because this is my specific login for Sage. You can see 13 days ago, I added a new webinar recording. 4 days ago, I added to 50. And this is where you can come in and you can look. So here's where you can go to Africa, Sage Africa, Middle East. And if you want to view the full playlist, you just click on View Full Playlist, and it will show you all 130, 150 videos. You can then either scroll down to check what they are, or you can then search accordingly. But we do try to update these as often as we can. So I updated this 4 days ago because I was just fixing a couple of things. But you also have all of these videos available that can also assist you in learning the product. Otherwise, guys, I'm not seeing any questions come through. Is everyone happy with what was shared? Does anyone need anything further, even if it's not to do with allocation? Is there something else you would like to ask me? Please let me know. Otherwise, that is it for the session. Thank you so much for joining me. And I do hope that you guys have a wonderful day and week further. Thank you.